Hey guys, Stealth here. Finally back. After, I don't know, a 3-week hiatus, I think? Anyway, finally back with Wargame Red Dragon. I have been playing somewhat, but my voice kept cutting out, so I was not able to record videos for you guys. Very sorry about that, but we're back. I think I'm going to be doing one video per day for now, because my voice is still recovering, as you may hear. Anyway, we're first off looking at this 10v10 in Asgard. And with this game we're going to be following Easy E. And Easy E sent me this game. He said it's a game where he is going to be the person firing all the artillery, which is, as you well know, something that I'm not exactly very fond of. But he said it's a very, very interesting game where a lot of things are happening, and where he's going to show us how to use artillery in an effective way, how to actually help his team ahead. So I'm looking at his units over here. He has 2 smirches so far. He does not have any FOBs yet. I'm guessing those are still to arrive. Otherwise you're going to be spending a lot of other people's supplies on rearming those smirches. Now let's see how this spread across the map is. We got the dude on the left. Yumika and Focus. Blue Label. Easy E is gonna go into India as well. He's probably playing a USSR support deck. Let's see, we got Good Day over here, Spartiate, Bob the Destroyer, and General B. So it seems that everyone has their positions picked. Now let's speed it up a little. Interesting. Easy E did not go with any supplies. So he is going to be either bringing in a ton of supplies from other units, so probably MI6s, the very, very large supply choppers, or he might be bringing in supplies from other players. I'm not sure if he's on TeamSpeak with any of them. Here goes the Smirch, at least the first battery, and I'm going to switch this to neutral view to see exactly how effective this fire is going to be. He's firing at where the enemy is going to arrive. Let's see. Yeah, there's nothing there yet. You might get lucky and hit a chopper, but it's not that likely. I think that this... yeah, he got a chopper. I think that this is not very effective fire. There are better ways to do this, and one thing that you could do if you want to play like this is wait for the units and time how fast or how long it'll take for the units to arrive, say from that position where Blue Force starts to about here, and then time your missile fire to make sure that it arrives exactly at the right time. Anyway, Easy E has his command unit over here, so he has captured Gregory. Yep, here come the MI6s, a lot of supplies, relocating the Smirches. And so far he scored 60 points, so that was probably a couple of those choppers. Now it seems that Blue Force is extremely heavily outnumbered for now. Blue Label has 40 units of Spetsnaz here, against a lot of SASR, SAS Gurkhas. This might be... no, I was going to say it might be an airborne deck, but seeing as there's also Warrior 90s there, it's not an airborne. So, more E units coming in from Easy E over here from this supply point. Tungushkas, infantry, and he's going to need a lot of these units. Unfortunately, he forgot to offload this command, which is costing them points, or income. And it is, one, at least in the games I've played, it's pretty unusual for Blue Force to have this much of a presence here. The games I usually play, I have quite a bit of presence over here in the middle. And somehow my team usually ends up capturing this zone. So that's more choppers killed. Now let's see about the artillery. He's firing the MSTAs. And where are they firing? Probably at the Chieftain Marksman or the Stormer. Yeah, that's not very accurate artillery fire. They probably can't see it. It's just blind. Yeah, he's blind firing. but it's still a pretty accurate guess. You can usually assume that there are units over there. So he has some Strela 3s, Motostrelki 90. Still not a lot of presence over here, where Bluefor has quite a bit of units, so he has to be either careful or have a backup response force. He has a spotter, he has a Tunguska, and for some reason that I cannot gather, General B has deployed his Motorschützen over here. I'm not entirely sure why. I just don't see why you would want to have infantry over here. At least not at this stage of the game. They would be much better served over there. Easy East Tunguska is killing off quite a bit of helicopters here. Not sure if they were still loaded with units. Yeah, there's still some deltas in there. And it seems that the BMP-1 is firing at these vehicles, getting some kills on them. But that's of course General B, not Easy E. Now what I would do with an artillery deck is use the MSTA to start pounding the Delta Force and the light rifleman over there. Let's see if he agrees. Tunguska destroyed. And that was counter-artillery. They are now getting shelled themselves. And see, that's just why you don't have infantry over here, because they just get killed. Now let's see, he's getting all of his transports away from here. And he is getting ready to fire another salvo from the Smerch. Mi-6s are empty. Not sure why they moved though. They didn't steal any supplies yet. For me, by the way, it's a pretty weird setup. If you have an artillery deck, so a support deck, and you don't use any supplies, you don't use any FOBs, that's going to mean that he has a ton of cards of supply units, or he's going to steal it. Let's suppose that he has supply cards. So, Mi-6s, the large Coloss trucks, stuff like that. Oh wow, he's even firing at the same location. Stuff like that is pretty resource intensive and not that effective. There are better ways to actually gain a lot of units. You can get more supplies per card if you use FOBs. Well, he's definitely getting a lot of points here. 780 so far. Of course, the infantry here is not affected, other than being panicked. Now the thing with artillery, or at least in my mind, is if you want to fire it, you can do damage with it, general damage, the way he's doing over here. But that's when I like to follow up with a second punch, because the units over here are now panicked, wounded, they just need finishing off. So if one of the Red 4 players could come in from this side, they'd only have the Challenger and the Legionnaires to contend with. And of course some Canadian rifles, but they're heavily panicked. So yes, it is pretty effective fire, he got a lot of points out of it. But how effective is it really? In the sense that, how is it helping his team to push up? This is what I would do differently. I would try to come in with a force from this side, or try to coordinate with a partner where you're telling him, okay buddy, I'm going to fire my Smerches over here, I need you to start pushing in with say a combination of armor, AA, and some infantry transports. Anyway, for some reason unknown to me, some Blue 4 player just donated a couple of Amphibil 101s, which is something that these Motostrelkis can definitely use. And these Motostrelkis probably just took out the M1 which was operating here. And now Gale's Buratino is clearing out this sector. You can see that Blue 4 has a lot of Bradleys coming in here. Let's switch it back to Easy E. Yep, he's stealing. Yeah, I'm sorry, but this is not behavior that I really appreciate. Because he is stealing the supplies of his ally, and yes, he's being an asset to the team, seeing as he has the second highest score. But if you want to use those expensive spurges, you gotta pay for them yourself. You gotta make sure that you are the one who is funding the supplies for those units. I think that's the only right way to do it. Now these Motostrelki over here are in for a surprise, as 12 of these make that possible 16 of these Bradleys is going to arrive. Buratino would be very, very welcome here, but it's rearming. And probably still reloading, so it cannot fire yet. Yep, they just wiped out anything that got in their way. Still a couple of Motorschützen from General B, slightly falling back here. And wow, that was a good bombing run. MiG 912A. That's the one with the thermobarics, so they drop a lot of... or they drop 2 to 4 HE bombs, which then explode into napalm. A couple of warriors coming in here, and he seems to be withdrawing these Saparis for now. Here come the Motostrelki again against 40 riflemen. That is not going to stand. Although the Motostrelki are elite, which is something that the riflemen are definitely not. But if these warriors start getting involved with the Rard and autocannons, this could get very, very nasty very quick. So let's see what else he's doing. He has the MSTAs, but he's not using them yet. He's relocating. And he just funneled off 6,000 points of supplies to keep his own smirches firing. And here is a fresh group or fresh batch of Motostrelki. Unfortunately, the MTLBVs are getting killed off right away by the transports. Those warriors are doing a lot of damage. And this was a great bombing run here. This is a beautiful use of these napalm tanks. Tu-55s are just eradicating the infantry that was in here. And of course they're also being panicked. They are worried, some of them. He's just blind firing now. That was a good run as well. What was that? It was definitely Easy A. Or Easy E, I should say. Easy A is the movie, of course. Artillery incoming. Bob the Destroyer. And now the Fusiliers and the Riflemen are getting their asses handed to them. But only because Blue 4 is not really making best use of these transports. So far, Easy E is still second in points, which for an artillery player is not bad. Normally you see people like that just not really being an asset to the team. Of course, it depends on how you want to use the artillery. Some artillery units or some artillery players are just completely ineffective. They just fire their smirches hoping to do damage, and then they fire it at infantry and stuff like that. Again, the napalm tanks. This is why you want to have a couple of these guys in your deck. There's only one card, and they are extremely effective at killing off infantry. Let's see, this is some more fire, but it's not from the smirches. Smirches have been rearmed, they're ready to go. And he managed to get the amphibials out of here. So they're being rearmed by the MI6. These Fusiliers that were getting dangerously close to this command infantry. Now the rest of the map, it seems that Red 4 is doing a great job here on the right flank, making life very, very difficult for Blue 4. It was even brought in 2 M1A2s. Over on the left, a whole lot of nothing is happening. They have a ton of forces here, but they're not moving. I don't think that the dude has surrendered, so he's just not doing anything. Alright. Back to the middle of the map. Now this would be a good moment for a counter-attack, so if he has a bit more infantry, he can do that counter-attack and start getting these warriors out of the way. Which are, well, they're decent points, they're 45 points, and you can easily kill them with Motostrelki 90. I think that he's now firing his MSTAs or some other artillery, let's see. Why the hell would you want to have a T-64BV in the back of your lines? And then a T-72B1 and a BMP. What the hell? What is this? The dude surrenders. And that was the guy who was operating, I believe, here. Yep, he has quite a bit of forces here. So that is a major setback to Red 4, as they can now no longer really effectively push up on that left flank. And of course the person who got these units is now in trouble as well. Because suddenly you have to micromanage a large front. And if you've done any kind of 10v10 or even a 2v2, you know exactly what this is like. Where you suddenly have to micromanage a front which is about this big. It's the entire map. You have some units over there, you have a couple over there, you have your own forces, your main setup in the middle of the map in this case. And then you have your units spread out over there, and then you're supposed to hold out. Of course, that's never going to work. More artillery coming in, BM-27 Eurogans. Another Buratino coming in, and quite a bit of supply trucks, with some more Mi-6 helicopters. So he's using a lot of this stuff. Resupply point for any vehicle for everybody over here. So he is sharing his supplies, which I think is nice, but a bit double. Because on the one hand he says here's a supply point, and on the other hand he's stealing it from this guy. A couple of Eurogans which are firing. Now these guys are not cluster munition, so they're just high HE power. And they seem to be trying to clear out that town, which does still quite have a large amount of infantry in here. It's doing quite a bit of damage. Definitely morale damage here to these Canadian rifles. And now Easy E has the Legionnaires to fight, which are of course shock troopers. They are not as elite as the Mostrelki, or at least not all of them. But this makes them quite dangerous still. The Benemy and the FAMAS are excellent weapon systems. Or weapons. I think that Easy E could have been a bit more aggressive with the Sapperies over here. If we would have pushed those a bit more to the side, they could have tried to napalm the guys in here, which are of course, well, dead or dying by now. And whenever I see one of those blue circles on the map, I'm always curious, where is that CV and why is it not dead yet? Red 4 is definitely pushing in here. Very, very close range Buratino here. Battle Wagon Dave surrenders, who is a blue 4. Now let's see, some more smirches over here. They're not firing, they're not really resupplied either. Look at that. He drained, of course combined with the guy who was operating here, which is blue label. He drained one FOB, and he is going to suck the life out of that second FOB as well. Captain Cabbage surrenders, which is the blue 4 guy that got the second highest score. Which means that he is probably a pretty decent player. And now Pengoose also surrenders for 230 points. Very, very low amount. MSTAs are engaging. Let's see what they're firing at. Please don't tell me you're going after those helicopters. No, he's not going for the helicopters. He's just doing a general shelling onto these buildings where there might be command infantry. Yep, there is command infantry in there, so he's probably just guessing his way through. Which is, if it's going to work, it's going to pay off for another 100 points. That was at least one Buratino, probably two. One firing on this area, and the second over here. And this is something that I think Red 4 still has a major advantage with. They got the napalm tanks, they got the Buratinos, they got a lot of units which have napalm capability. Legions, Spetsnaz, stuff like that. Beautiful seat run by this Su-22. Killing off a chieftain marksman, I believe. Or a challenger, I'm not entirely sure what that was. Now it seems that the action has died down a little. And Easy E is bringing in a surprisingly low amount of units here. Of course you don't get that many slots for infantry, so he might have spent quite a bit of his infantry already. He might be running low on those. A couple of star 266s here, that might be Formosas. It might be... yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's Formosas. The Polish guys. Here's the CV spotted. Let's see if they can take that down. This is when you hotkey your artillery and tell it to fire exactly at that location. A couple of bucks are coming in. Very quickly as well. Surprisingly quick. Yep, that CV got taken out nicely. And that artillery is over here. It's these MSTAs which are firing from Blue Label. Pretty risky play here with an Mi-2 recon helicopter. And as I expected, Formosas came out of that star 266, and these guys are going to be very, very capable of killing any kind of infantry over here. That is, if the napalm tanks don't already do that for them. So good work here by Yumaka, I think. Yep, Yumaka. Although Yumaka has a surprisingly low amount of points. I thought that with the napalm tanks and the infantry that he has over here, he would have done a bit more damage. Bertino getting ready to fire. Still reloading. And again, my problem here is that the Bertino can fire, and my guess would be it's going to fire about here, where they're going to do quite a bit of damage against the infantry, but then they don't really have the infantry to push up. They got one, or Easy E has one unit over here, or one group of probably 10 Mudstalky. They got the Formosas, but otherwise they don't have any units which can push up. Which is exactly what you want to do once you have this area napalmed. I'm not saying push up into the napalm, but make sure that once those troops are panicked and wounded and dying, you finish them off. That's when you gain terrain. And I believe that that is the best way to use your artillery. You can see that Blue Label over here also has a lot of artillery by now. He has not scored as many points as Easy E though, yep. He scored 773 points versus 1600 from Easy E. And Good Day to Die. Let's see where he's operating, because he's doing an extremely good job. Yumaka, some more Yumaka forces over here. So Yumaka has spread his forces out. He's operating over there and in the middle of the town. That's risky. Requires a lot of delicate micromanagement. Let's see, where is good? Here's Good Day to Die. He's the one making life miserable in Pole for Blue 4. Some more MSTAs. What are they firing at? Well, they got something worth either 20 or 120 points. What is that? Oh, he's returning fire at an artillery battery. That's what that was for 120 points. Look at this. You could almost fly right in with these helicopters. You could kill anything in here. The only thing you'd have to worry about slightly is the Kratal. But once you got that out of the way, you're just going to march through here and kill them. But of course, that is because I can see everything. Now, let's see. Royal Marines here by Cassius Royal. And these Motorschützen, I don't think they're going to survive. Royal Marines are quite capable of Just murdering any kind of infantry that gets in their way. Along with vehicles, by the way. Those Law 80s are extremely deadly to pretty much any kind of vehicle. Now this is something that I do like. Easy E fired his Bertinos over here, and then he said, "Guys, I'm firing napalm here. Be careful, be advised." I have seen quite a few games lately where my units were moving up, and people just started firing artillery at the position where I was moving up to, without giving me any kind of warning. And that is something that really pisses me off. Because it means that you can't exactly coordinate, and your units are likely to take fire. So that's something that I really, really dislike. If you want to use artillery, fine, but please do it the way Easy E did here. Mark your zones where your Bertino, your artillery, your mortar, whatever it is going to fire. Because you don't want to catch that expensive Leopard 2A5 from your ally with a Smirch or with an ATA CMS, for example. Pretty dangerous play here. T80UM. Very expensive tank. And they are... I don't think he's going to survive this one. He's not even looking at these Gurkhas, or the commandos over here. He's backing up quickly. But that cost him a lot of supplies to get that thing repaired. And over here, wow. Who's this? Blue Label. They completely cleared out this area. And this leaves this area under control of Red 4. And these are expensive tanks as well, by the way. BVs, 120 pointers, U's, 155s. This was an expensive push. I'm not sure how much they lost here. But holy hell. So much for the Legionnaires. Now let's see, the Smirch is over here already, but they're not firing. And these MSTAs, what are they firing at? Sometimes it's hard for me to see, but I think he's doing counter-artillery here. Let's see. No, not really. There might be something in there. There might not. He could have waited, because he's just wasting supplies now. Here goes the Soviet armored push. Without any kind of reconnaissance, I need to add. Focus over here. Let's see how's Focus doing. 2200 points. Look at all that. By the way, in one of the latest patches for the DLC, the DLC is going to be released soon, or imminent, as Eugene puts it, by the way. These the T80 line, I think they got a price buff. So, where the things used to cost 160 points, they're now 155. I believe it was 5 points that the price was reduced by. Look at this. This Soviet armor is just telling everyone to piss the hell off. Killing off every vehicle that they have over here. Catching Blue 4 pretty terribly unprepared over here. But they're doing a beautiful job at it, even without reconnaissance. This is the only recon unit that they have over here now, the BRM-1K. And there's the TACOM. Here come the Jaguars. Which don't seem to have done a lot of damage here. No, not sure what Easy E is doing now. Firing Smirches at what? Flying overhead. I was kind of worried I was going to fire at this position to help them out, but let's see. What can you hit over there? Ooh, a Mars. If you can hit it. FOBs are usually not impressed by cluster munitions. The Mars is, by the way. That was a nice kill. gotta say, this push by focus was beautiful. It was pretty risky, but it was beautiful and glorious nonetheless. The way he just wiped through Uliana and then pushed his way into, what is this, Tachana? They just cleared out the entire region. And I think he's going to have to turn his tanks around now to deal with his Chieftain Mark 11s. Because there's only a couple of T-72Bs here. And now they have these infantry units here surrounded. The Gurkhas are going down. Holy hell. That's expensive. Look at that, a flight of 3 Mi-28s and 2 Akulas. This right here is worth 400 points. And these guys are worth another 300 points. So this is 700 points in helicopters. But they seem to have arrived exactly at the right time, doing a ton of damage to these challengers. Epic tank battle, yeah. Because here come the tanks again, the T-80Us. And the challengers and the chieftains are bunched up pretty much, so they're all getting hit by these rocket pods. And Cassius Royale is just losing so many units over here. I think that, holy, there's even more of these things. I think that these tanks may have lost, or this force may have lost 1 or 2 tanks, but that's it. These helicopters did an amazing job, and I try to resupply these things. That's going to be the major problem over here. Because these FOBs of Blue Label are empty. Now let's see if the Smirches are doing anything. He has a Urigan which is firing. Or which is attempting to fire, I should say. Large supply depot over here. Not really that useful over here. What I would do over here, what I would do with these units is try to push them up forward. Because a tank push like this takes up a lot of supplies. Getting them repaired, getting them supplied, getting them moving again. You are a support player. You can support your team by firing artillery, but also by using all of those supply units that you have sitting there. And making sure that an armored fist like this can keep rolling, can keep going. So that's what I would do here. Over here we got, I think it's General B who's pushing up. Not that far yet though. And he doesn't really have the reconnaissance either to see what is going on over here. Still some stragglers over here by Cassius Royale. And considering the fact that Cassius has both Centurions, or what was it? I forgot the name. Those Mark 11 tanks, and the Challengers, and Rangers. He's using a General NATO. Which are decks that you don't really see that often, but they can still pack a punch. Strelkies over here, which are probably going to have a pretty difficult time killing off these Rangers. Nah, never mind. These guys are just calm, and the Rangers are not so calm. What the hell? That's cluster artillery, alright, but you don't fire that for transports. Yeah, these Motostrelkies are going to wipe these guys out. Chaparrals are running away. Same as the Avengers over here. And on the right flank, General B is pushing up slightly. Let's see. In the meanwhile, right flank, Paul is solidly under control of Red 4. And over here, it seems that they gained some terrain, but not that much. Navy SEALs versus Spetsnaz. My money's on the Spetsnaz for this round, since the SEALs can only use their stoner, not the grenade launcher. And they sniped him. Jesus. Something just drained all of these supplies. It was not the Uragans either. What the hell? What takes so many supplies? The Smirch? Well, the Smirch are going the other way. Hmm, interesting. This would be a nice artillery target. Getting some 55-point vehicles, or 55 points per vehicle. So this is a little over 150 points sitting over there. And it seems that unfortunately the tanks which were here, the T-72B1 I believe, got taken down. And one Abrams taking some fire from the VPs. One died. Now this is usually a stage in the game where a support deck has a harder time because they don't have that many vehicles, they don't have that much infantry. They do have a ton of artillery, of course, but once you get a push rolling like Blue 4 or like Red 4 did over here with the tanks, and for example, it is going to be who's going to be the fastest, who's going to be the first one to arrive. And catching up and keeping up is going to be quite difficult because you want to have all of these tanks and the helicopters to keep going. And by the time that your artillery arrives, or by the time that you have a target, it's usually dead. So this is the point where artillery decks or support decks, depending on how you want to look at them, holy hell, fresh meat, Cassius Royale. This is usually the point where a artillery deck struggles a little bit more. That's a lot of tow missile fire. That's Milan's, which did some damage to those tanks, but did not kill them yet. That's another one down. That's another one down. But I still would not exactly call this push effective. Let's see, Cassius has scored 4,000 points, almost 5,000. But I'm wondering how his kill-death ratio is going to turn out. Now, since Easy E does not seem to be doing a lot over here, I'm going to keep looking at this push for now. And this is problematic, because that's going to wipe out that last surviving tank. It's going to wipe out the Zenishche. It's going to wipe out the Groms. This one is unfortunately out of ammo, and it just got wiped out by the autocannons. This would be a beautiful Smirch target, or sorry, not Smirch, a Buratino target, by the way. A lot of infantry over here. Most of them have already taken some losses since their transports got destroyed. Yep, there goes the BV. Now the question is, can these guys on the right help out? Look at the difference in points, by the way. 17,000 for Blue 4, 29,000 for Red 4. Let's see, over here, a lot of infantry getting wiped out by Norovs, insofar as they can see them through the trees. This would also be a very, very nice position for a napalm tank, somewhere along these lines. What do they have over here? An AA unit, Gepard class. That was a Gepard class. And by now, yep, here goes the armored push again. Focus is on the move. And he's going to do a lot of damage here. Look at all that. BMPTs, Bucks, Tungushkas. That was a Tungushka, by the way. Thing just got wiped out. This is just free points, really. Some of these things are still putting up a fight. Here come the Jaguars again, which probably led them to kill one or two tanks. What you do want to do is kill off the command vehicle somewhere here as fast as possible, because even a push like this can still be stopped. What they don't have over here is a lot of AA. It's lagging behind slightly. But these things can still chew up helicopters, so that would not be a good counter. Infantry would not be a good counter either. Chimeras, interesting. Cassius has been shopping with the Canadians. But even 20 points of frontal armor is not going to stand up to, well, 1, 2, that was 2, 3, 4, say 4 to 6 tanks knocking on your armor. It's not going to stand up for too long. Here come the seaplanes, Tornado ECR. And this one, what exactly are you? Tornado? Jaguar. And Focus is again just rolling through. 6,000 points in counting. And Blue Label is also working his way through. I would actually not destroy these FOBs. I would try to capture them. Because you do want to keep these things flying, and they are all lighting up with their fuel gauges, so... Capturing a FOB and just landing your choppers there would have been my preference. A couple of Su-27Ss from Easy E's flying around here. Providing a little bit more AA. Since the AA that was over here got killed off mostly. And 2 Mirages take down those Su-27s. What the hell is in there? Whatever it was, it's dead now, but what did the trees do to you? Pushing up with 4 Buratinos, holy hell. Tunguska kicking the ass of a pirate over here. Jesus. 65 points, 60 points, 65. What's the HE value of these things anyway? 10. They're going to do a lot of damage first, and then burn whatever's left alive. And here comes Blue Label with a lot of AA. All Bruises. Pretty effective against helicopters, decent against airplanes. And they can even fire at the ground as well, but it's not really recommended. Range of 1000, you already get into the AT range of infantry pretty quickly. Yeah, these guys have this solidly under control. Now let's see, are these smirches still... Yep, they're empty. And they do have some units over here which still have supplies. These amphibials, well then, they might be supplying these things with 2 or 3 missiles. That's how expensive those things are to maintain. Good push here. Captured this area by Bob the Destroyer. And riflemen are getting wiped out. Which is leading them to push into Sergei next. Not only from this side, but also from over here. I think that Blue 4 has nothing in their way. This entire area is just clear, so... we had another guy over here who was doing pretty good. Good day to die. Although, I'm not sure what he's doing. He's not dying anyway. Bob the Destroyer also has quite expensive tanks sitting here doing nothing. This is what happens in a 10v10. You just usually forget about some of your very high point units. Or at least it happens to me every now and then. Look at that. Heard you like airplanes. 90% of points. Su-25's flying overhead. Very interested in the kill-death ratio of Focus as well. Look at the amount of tanks he's bringing in. This must be a Soviet armored deck. But even if Focus lost almost as many units as he killed, I think it's still worth it, because with this armored push, they finally secured Uliana, Tatjana, and then over here the command zone Visky, which is the main supply route for Blue 4. Of course, after Uliana is dead. This zone is still not neutralized. And good call here by Blue Label to get these guys in here, because this is still a location where aircraft can appear. Which they do, in the form of a little bird. But also aircrafts, airplanes. If Blue 4 still has any left, that is. So much for that little bird. FOB captured. Gotta say, Blue Label did not do badly in this game. 3,500 points. 7,000 for focus so far. 6,500 for Bob the Destroyer. And Yumaka somehow managed to make his way into Vasily already. So this is definitely the end for Blue 4, both time-wise and point-wise. Cassius has relocated to this flank, Y. And Cassius was definitely the main damage dealer. 5,800 points over here. Combined with Urist Makurist for 7,200 points. But if you're faced with guys who do 6,000 points, 7,000, 6,000, you're just not going to win. Now let's speed this up. Get it over with. $600 points out. 500. Tornado F3, that would be a nice kill. Nope, made it out. Let's see over here. Martyr, I think the Leopard 2A5 already died. Gotta say, Cassius did not surrender. He just kept fighting and fighting and fighting. No matter how many units he lost, he did not surrender. So definitely well played to Cassius. Alright, and that's the game. I was going to say well played to Cassius, but he lost 14,000 points. Which, I'm not going to say cost them the game, but it is definitely a very, very major way to spend points. Now let's see, Easy E sent in this replay, 3,500 points, 690 lost, which is what you expect generally for an artillery player. He just didn't have that many units on the front line other than the infantry. And even those guys, well, they survived most of the time. Now let's see about focus. 7,000 points gained, 3,200 lost, a ton of command points gained. So this guy was really the star of the show. Definitely. Good day to die. Good ratio as well. A lot of command points. Spar Shade. This is interesting, by the way. Good day to die. Good positive ratio. Positive, almost. This is about a 1.02 ratio, I think. Bob, positive ratio, positive. Negative for Yumika, and negative for Gale 86. So that's 2 out of 10 who got a negative ratio. Blue 4, negative, extremely negative. Positive, so that's 3 to 1. Negative, and positive. So Red 4 got 8 people with a positive win ratio, and Blue 4 got 2. And this is how you end up with a game like this. Anyway, that is the video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm glad to be back, although I gotta be careful with my voice, so it's gonna be only one video per day for now. And I hope that next week, once my voice is completely recovered, I can do 2 like you're used to. For now, I'm still looking for more replays, so if you have any great replays, please send them in through the link down in the description. And if you have any suggestions, comments or thoughts on this gameplay, please leave them in the comments down below. For now, thanks for watching, good to see you guys again, and I'll catch you next time.